Good morning. These are your Nassau Guardian highlights for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026, brought to you by your Daily Bahamas headlines, especially for people on the go and those who are visually impaired. We begin with the Guardian's lead story. The United States Embassy in Nassau is calling for justice after an American man was shot and killed by an off-duty police officer in western New Providence. The victim, Cody Castillo, was reportedly involved in an altercation at the Plantation Bar and Grill on West Bay Street before the confrontation continued outside. Police say the officer claimed Castillo drove his vehicle toward him in a threatening manner, prompting the officer to fire his weapon in what he described as self-defense. The U.S. Embassy says it is closely monitoring the case and has urged the Bahamian government to ensure the victim receives justice without delay. Castillo, who worked with Pike Electric in the Bahamas, had celebrated his first wedding anniversary just one day before the incident. His wife is currently pregnant with their first child, who is expected later this year. Human Rights Bahamas has also raised concerns about what it describes as a growing pattern of police use of lethal force involving off-duty officers and is calling for a transparent investigation. In other national news, Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin says violence in Bahamian schools has declined significantly. She told Parliament that incidents dropped by 46% between the fall of 2022 and the fall of 2025, with major reductions in fights, stabbings, and the unlawful carrying of weapons. The comments came as lawmakers debated several education bills designed to modernize the country's education system and formally recognize education as a legal right in the Bahamas. Meanwhile, Housing Minister Keith Bell tabled resolutions to transfer land in New Providence and Exuma to the Ministry of Housing as part of efforts to develop residential communities and resolve long-standing land title issues. The government says the initiative is intended to help Bahamian families gain secure access to land and housing. Works Minister Clay Sweeting also announced that additional unregulated communities in Andros and New Providence could soon face demolition as part of the government's continuing effort to eliminate shanty towns. At the same time, the government plans to install a new drainage system with lift stations in parts of Pinewood Gardens to address long-standing flooding problems in that community. Turning to business news, the government's plan to acquire the Grand Bahama Power Company is moving a step closer. Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, tabled resolutions seeking approval for the government to guarantee loans totaling about $280 million to finance the acquisition and operational needs of the company. However, opposition leader Michael Pintard has criticized the proposal, calling it risky and warning that it could place additional financial burdens on taxpayers without guaranteeing lower electricity costs or improved service for Grand Bahama residents. Now to the editorial page. The editorial headline reads, "The gloves are coming off." The Guardian says the political atmosphere in the Bahamas is heating up as the country approaches the next general election. The paper notes that both the Progressive Liberal Party and the Free National Movement have intensified their rhetoric and campaign activity. The editorial argues that Bahamians deserve a serious contest between parties willing to defend their records, present clear plans, and withstand public scrutiny. In the letters to the editor section, the headline reads, "Is an early election the PLP's survival plan and its admission of failure?" The writer argues that speculation about an early election may reflect concerns within the government about economic pressures and rising living costs. The letter suggests that calling an early election could be a strategic move to face voters before those economic challenges become even more pronounced. Those are your Nassau Guardian highlights for today. For the full stories and additional coverage, be sure to purchase a copy of today's Nassau Guardian or visit their website. And remember, an informed public is the foundation of a strong democracy. Enjoy your day, be blessed, and be a blessing.